Hello, and welcome back to the greatest show on earth. This is Starcastic Remarks, alongside Chris and James and my brothers. My name is Ryan. Welcome to the official Dallas Stars podcast of THPN. Thank you to DraftKings Sportsbook for being our sponsor. Go and use that promo code THPN the next time you go and use their services. We'd appreciate that as it supports what we do. Gentlemen, how are we doing this evening?
I just realized it for the first time. That promo code, Thippin.
I hate you. I hate you so much, Chris. You're starting it off strong, aren't you?
Yep.
It's all downhill from here.
All right. So
that was the last thing I ever expected you to say.
How about that hockey?
Okay. Speaking of other things that we didn't expect at all, I had a sudden realization that next week is actually the start of training camp for the Dallas Stars. So it's here. It's here, guys. So we got kind of. But it's like it's gonna ramp up. It's gonna ramp up. We should be getting excited.
We'll have stuff to talk about.
Yeah, more stuff to talk about rather than like the Columbus Blue Jacket stuff that we'll get into. But anyways, we got one more show to kind of do with whatever. And then next week, we've got our training camp preview show, which is going to be really awesome and exciting with training camp starting next Thursday. And then after that, we got preseason, and then we're straight into the season. And the Stars get to show what they're made of this year. There's a lot of hope behind this team, a lot of expectations. But before we get into that, how has y'all's weeks been? Has it been good?
Great.
That's it?
Yep.
Yeah, I'm doing school stuff. We were learning about how to exploit things on websites. That was fun.
Exploit things on
I'm
wow. We're
for those
already
for those of you who don't know, I'm learning cybersecurity stuff right now. So basically, they're about to teach me how to hack. Like I'm close to the end of the course, done everything else, and they're like, okay, now we're gonna hack stuff. So I should be having a lot of fun the next couple of days.
Yes. You should learn how to hack the Starcastic Remarks website and see what happens.
I might learn how to.
But
yeah, just do it. He does have access to that. That's true.
I can pretend that I don't.
And just see if it works. So, okay. Well, just get straight into it.
Hockey.
Yeah, hockey. Okay. All right, we have got first off, there are 10 teams currently, I guess 8 now, that don't have captains anymore, and 2 of them have been announced in the last couple of days. First things first, the biggest surprise to absolutely nobody, Quinn Hughes is the captain of the Vancouver Canucks. Some people thought that, maybe Elias Pettersson might be the captain, but it's been pretty obvious that Quinn Hughes is their best player. I was listening to a Hockey Guy video earlier today, and he said it's the first defenseman captain for the Vancouver Canucks since 1979. So that's kind of cool in and of itself. So pretty neat there. And then also for Winnipeg, with the departure of Blake Wheeler going to the New York Rangers, they have named Adam Lowry, who not a lot of people know who Adam Lowry is, but he's a pretty good, solid two-way player. Not like the greatest.
When I think of the Winnipeg Jets, I think of
Adam Lowry. Right, exactly.
Explains the team perfectly.
He's like what I want Roddick Foxa to be. So he's a little bit better than Roddick Foxa. Derogatory.
He's been around for a long time in the city of Winnipeg, and they love him, and he loves the city. He's had opportunities to leave, and he's chosen to stay. So, I mean, good on him. I hope for the Winnipeg Jets' sake that they actually don't have such a toxic dressing room this year, and maybe having Adam Lowry as the next captain can maybe fix that. I don't know.
That's a high bar, man. I don't know if they can achieve that, man. They can be nice to each other. Weird.
Right, exactly. Or just cordial. So there's other teams that have not named their captain yet, but there's probably going to be some teams that won't have a captain at all heading into the season. So do you know any other teams who don't have a captain right now that you would expect them not to announce a captain? Nope.
All of them. No more captains.
No more captains. Ban them.
The other 8 teams, screw 'em. So, I mean, here's a question for you. Are they just going to give Connor Bedard the captaincy right off the bat in
You
Chicago?
better
No.
not. You better
Okay.
not.
They won't do that, but they're going to give it to somebody who's going to be gone in a couple of years so that they can give it to Bedard. Big brain thinking right there. That's what they did with McDavid.
Could we see a Corey Perry captaincy in the Chicago Blackhawks?
That would be so gross.
That would be the most chaotic timeline. So
It
I
would-
think so.
Yeah, it would be fun, right? Just like Steve Ott becoming the captain of the Buffalo Sabres back in the day. Not a lot of people know that. He was actually the
I
captain for
forgot
them for a while.
about that. Yeah.
So, I mean, extreme chaos. That would be so much fun. But in all reality, he's not going to get the captaincy. He'll probably get it next year. I mean, there's been younger players. Sidney Crosby was 19 when he became the captain. Landeskog in Colorado was the captain when he was 19. I mean, there have been teenagers who have become captain before, and Connor Bedard is on a whole nother level from both of those guys. So I would at least at this point right now, the level of hype around him. So I would expect that he's going to be the captain next year for the Blackhawks. But anyways, moving on. Let's get into the I don't even know how you describe it. The Babcock Spit and Chicklets drama that has surrounded the Columbus Blue Jackets. I don't know if you are you guys in on this story at all?
Yeah,
No.
it's just the nicest story between two of the greatest organizations and people that have ever graced the lovely sport of hockey. You know, Spit and Chicklets and the Blue Jackets, both hockey institutions. You know, I mean, done nothing but good for the sport. And then Biz and Babcock, just the two nicest guys you could ever find in the National Hockey League. So really,
I think that's what
heartwarming
you call a sarcasm.
real heartwarming story here.
All right. So, okay. So, just to give you some background information for those of you who have no idea what Chris is talking about. So, Paul Bissonnette, he's a former NHLer, and he's also one of the, I guess you could call him the host, one of the personalities of the Spit and Chicklets podcast, which is one of the biggest hockey podcasts out there, if not the biggest one out there. And he had a very interesting thing happen to him. Got like a text message from a unnamed player of the Columbus Blue Jackets, and he kind of lit a match on Tuesday yesterday. And apparently Mike Babcock requested to see photos of Captain Boone Jenner's phone from this past summer to, quote, know the type of person you are. So when that first came out, it was like, okay, Mike Babcock is doing it all over again, and he's doing weird things and awkward things to his players and stuff like this. Because, again, for those of you that don't remember the whole Mitch Marner incident when he was the coach in Toronto, he asked Mitch Marner to rank his teammates on how, like, who the best, like, player was for getting prepared for the season, and then the worst. And he had him rank all of them. And then he took that list and showed all the players, which is a pretty crappy thing to do, right? So everyone's like, oh, Mike Babcock is doing it again. And then right after that, they meaning Mike Babcock and the captain of the Columbus Blue Jackets, Boone Jenner, both respond with a statement straight from the Columbus Blue Jackets organization's X page. And this was Babcock's portion. While meeting with our players and staff, I asked them to share off their phones family pictures as part of the process of getting to know them better. There was absolutely nothing more to it than that. The way this was portrayed on the Spit and Chicklets podcast was a gross misrepresentation of those meetings and extremely offensive. These meetings have been very important and beneficial, not only for me, but for our players and staff as well. And to have them depicted like this is irresponsible and completely inaccurate.
Churlish.
So, churlish. I figured that was coming up. I mean, there's more to the story, but Weird.
So I'm kind of shocked that Babcock is so surprised that someone might take something that he does out of proportion because, he's done some pretty crappy stuff. So kind of hard to believe you, Babcock. But also, Bissonnette's not the best person to believe either when it comes to hockey stuff. So kind of hard to believe you too.
Yeah.
So
I
don't
think
know. I think it's a lot of bull crap flying around all over the place.
Yeah, I think the thing that's kind of like concerning is that one of the players reached out to someone else and told someone about it. So obviously it bugged one of the players, regardless of if it was actually something like wrong. It bugged one of the players. So
I don't think it was the Columbus Blue Jacket player because Biz actually posted, he took like a little screenshot of the text that he got from the first guy he talked to. And it sounded like it was a Leafs player who talked to a Columbus player who told him about showing pictures. And he was saying, he told Biz that they're doing something that they did in Toronto.
Sally told
we've
Richard,
gotten to the point.
who told her, and then
Exactly.
this
we've gotten to the
school
point
drama.
where it's so stupid.
And y'all have gotten my point. It's just a bunch of poop flying all over the place. So, yeah, I don't think this is a thing. And I think Biz wants to make it a thing so he gets more eyes on his podcast.
Well, we'll talk about that here in a second. But all right, so here's Boone Jenner's portion of the statement. While meeting with Babs, he asked me about my family and where I'm from, my upcoming wedding, and hockey-related stuff. He then asked if I had pictures of my family, and I was happy to share some of them with him. He showed me pictures of his family. I thought it was a great first meeting and a good way for us to start building a relationship. To have this blown out of proportion is truly disappointing. So here's my biggest question is, okay, should you raise questions about Mike Babcock? Absolutely, because the thing he did in Toronto with the whole Mitch Marner incident was pretty crappy thing to do.
There's been a lot of things he's done that have been pretty crappy.
Yes, obviously, but like nothing like to the point, nothing like illegal. Let's just say that. Nothing illegal or anything
nothing
like that.
illegal.
Just really crappy
Just
things
really
to
weird.
do. Yeah, and
He's
really
a weird
weird. That
guy.
is true. Right. But at the same time, don't you think I tried to I can't. But anyway, I'm trying to move on, Chris. Stop it.
No, sorry. I read Ardell's comment. He said Babcock is from Mordor.
I know. That's why I was trying to ignore it, and it was just like whatever. But anyways, at the same time, don't you think this was really stupid by the Spit and Chicklets guys to kind of?
Oh no, it was a great
put that
idea
out
by
there?
them. It trended 13 on Twitter. Their podcast was all over the place. I was into it. I was clicking on all their stuff. So good for them.
Okay, but
They don't care about credibility.
Okay, that was my next question. It's like
The last thing Spit and Chicklets cares about is credibility.
They didn't even
Okay,
have the Stars in the playoffs last year.
Yeah.
that is true. Not a single one of them did. Not even in the wild card.
The playoff preview that they did said that the Stars would be a lockdown defensive team and would play super boring despite having a top 5 offense. So, yeah.
And one of the people on that podcast is a national broadcaster for TNT, Paul Bissonnette. So that's really disappointing that he didn't speak up or didn't know that.
Oh,
He obviously doesn't know the team.
Well, he doesn't know the rules either because we talked about there was a 5-minute major. It's like, shouldn't that have been a 5-minute major? It was. I don't even remember what it was. It was like
I remember it. Yeah,
but it's like,
Mhm.
well, there doesn't have to be intent to make it a 5-minute major. He just didn't know the rule. So yeah, he's just a washed-up NHL player that barely made it into the league who has a loud mouth. That's really all it is.
he is hilarious though. You gotta be honest.
He's
He is
funny.
hilarious.
Oh, yeah, he's funny.
His times he's hilarious.
There's other funny people that are not great people either. So
Yes, that is true, and I think he's one of them.
he
But
is
like,
definitely one of them.
here's the other thing is that right after that, it's not like they backed off on the comments or anything like that. If anything, he doubled down. Paul Bissonnette did, and then Ryan Whitney also doubled down. Another host on the Spit and Chicklets podcast. So
I
I'm like,
respect that
okay,
more than anything. I mean,
Okay,
if they believe that it's true, stand by it. Sure.
someone is lying here. I'm sorry. Somebody is lying here about this situation and like the true intent behind it. Like what was the quote that to know the type of person you are. It's like, is that really what it is? I mean, this just seems like it's just Spit and Chicklets grasping at straws, trying to find something to talk about. And boy, did they find something to talk about.
Well, it's funny because it's two of the worst characters in hockey bashing each other's character. Like, yeah, y'all both.
That is true. That is true. I mean,
So
it happens.
I'll choose
go
to
ahead.
believe both of them.
I just thought the whole thing was just bizarre. Like it was a 1 day thing. All of the stuff,
Hey.
all of the news broke in 1 day. Normally when these things come out like this, it's like it lasts like a little bit comes out on Tuesday and then a little bit comes out on the following Thursday. And then it's like, it lasts for a couple of weeks and then it kind of dies away.
It was
Like this was
interesting,
1
though.
day, boom, 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 done.
Good marketing by Spit Chicklets. So good job, guys.
I guess so.
We need their
Yeah.
marketing team.
Yep. Okay, moving on from that. I thought that was just interesting. So, okay, one burning question for every NHL team heading into training camp. All right.
Someone get a fire
So-
extinguisher.
Yeah, exactly. So you're just on it with the dad jokes today, Chris.
I'm all
You're just
over it, man. I'm
completely
all
on it.
over it.
So, like it says, there's one for each and every team. I figured we would start with the Stars and kind of talk about the Stars question that they have in this
Let's
athletic
do
article.
it. What's the question?
And then we can pick a couple of other teams and kind of talk about other teams that we might care about. I figured since this is like a Central Division episode tonight, we can kind of talk about some of the other Central Division teams. But the Dallas Stars question is, can another young forward prospect force his way onto the roster? Last year, the Stars entered training camp hoping that Wyatt Johnston and Logan Stankoven could show that they're NHL ready. They needed Johnston in particular to make the roster, both for his talent and his price tag, and he was ready. This offseason, they filled out the roster quite well in free agency and don't need a youngster to be NHL ready on opening night. But it would be a fantastic problem to have if Stankoven and or Maverick Bourque forced the issue. So I think it's a pretty obvious answer for us. We've talked about it before, but we should discuss it again because we're even closer to training camp. Training camp is next week. They haven't released the rosters for it, but obviously you can expect Liam Bichsel to be on that, Maverick Bourque and Logan Stankoven, and they will be one of the last cuts if they don't make the team. Like, I think last year Stankoven was probably the last person cut, I think, from the Stars roster, and he was sent back to Kamloops. Now this year he won't be in Kamloops. He'll either be in Dallas or he will be in the AHL with the Texas Stars down in Austin. So Chris will get to see him a little bit more often. That would be kind of cool. But to answer the question, what do you think? Do you think one of them can make it onto the roster this year?
I would say 75% chance that they do not, which is sad for me. But I mean, if Stankoven is just playing so good that he forces his way onto the roster, I mean, like the article said, that's a good problem to have too many forwards. So he would be in a weird spot because he would pretty much have to play that fourth line role. But hey, if he can score on that fourth line, why would you not put him there? Honestly,
I think my initial thought is that unless someone gets hurt, he's not going to make the opening night roster. That I whether that means he doesn't end up playing during the season is another thing. I think he probably will at some point force his way onto the team. It really depends on how his transition from the juniors into the AHL is.
and maybe you get another Harley situation where he comes in late in the season when our veteran forwards have been all gassed out from the regular season. Hey, look at this. We got some fresh meat. So that's a possibility too. And same with injuries. He might play so good when someone's injured that he has to stay there. So,
yeah. I mean, it honestly might be the ideal way to bring a rookie into the league anyway, is to bring them after they have some AHL games, and then they can play like half an NHL season, the last half. You get the toughest games. You're getting the most important games. You're in the right situations.
The more we talk about it, it's just unfortunate. It seems like the best thing for Stankoven to do is to go down to the AHL. It sucks because we really want to see him really, really badly with the Dallas Stars.
He'll play. He'll play at some point during the season, but it's not going to be opening night.
And the other thing is you don't want him playing fourth line minutes. Let's be honest. Like, let's say that Craig Smith or Radek Faksa gets hurt. You don't want Stankoven coming up and him playing on the fourth line. If he comes up, it's got to be somebody who's on one of the top 3 lines who gets hurt, right? That's the only thing that makes sense to me.
If he's scoring consistently on a 4th line role and is playing it well and is learning how to play NHL speed, I don't know why you don't play him. If he's a better option and gives you
Just
a better
not
chance
playing
of winning,
enough.
if he's giving you a better chance of winning over Smith or Steele, in the window that we're in right now, I don't see a reason to not play him.
That's why I think we're not going to play him for the beginning of the season, really. I think we're not going to see him for the first half, probably, unless a big injury comes in, which is definitely possible. But I really think it's going to be one of those down the stretch. It's going to feel like a trade deadline pickup.
That's a good way of looking at it, James. That's actually a very interesting comment. Yeah.
Because we don't have any space to get any trade deadline pickups.
We don't.
Sure.
Yeah, we don't.
There's no space.
Yeah, no space. So, okay. So long story short, for me, I think the answer is no, and it's not because they can't. I think it's just the forward group is ridiculous.
And my answer is no, they won't, but I think they should.
Yep. James, what's your official answer?
No for opening night.
No for opening night. Yes for later.
Yes.
Trade deadline.
I think he's going to play at least like the last part of the season.
See, he's going to pull Thomas Harley.
I think he's going to pull Thomas Harley. Maybe a little sooner than Thomas Harley came in, but
can be a little bit of an adrenaline boost, a little bit of a shot to get us going, maybe. Hopefully, we'll see. Okay, I figured since this was a Central Division, there's really only one team, in my opinion, that really has another shot of getting first in the division other than the Dallas Stars.
The Arizona Coyotes.
Exactly. 100%. No, I'm just kidding. It's Colorado Avalanche. So let's look at their question. Will Ryan Johansson fit well at the second center line role? So this is straight from the article. Though JT Compher did a solid job at second line center in 22-23, Colorado never fully replaced Kadri. That showed in the playoffs when Bednar, the coach, ended up shifting Compher to wing in an unsuccessful attempt to find a spark with Lars Eller. Compher and Eller are now gone, having signed in Detroit and Pittsburgh respectively, and the Avalanche enter the season with a newly acquired Johansson slotted to center the second line. If he's healthy, he can regain his 21-22 form. The Avs should have an answer at 2C for the next couple of seasons. If not, they might again risk over relying on top forwards McKinnon and Rantanen. So, what do you think? Do you think he's going to slot in at the second center line role okay, or do you think he's going to struggle and he's not really going to be able to fulfill the role that the Avs have gotten it for him?
I think he's going to slot in pretty good, especially since he's not going to have much attention drawn to him with those two big guys that you mentioned on the first line. I mean, those are the two names that you're going to circle whenever you start playing the Avs, and then he can kind of slide in underneath and do some of his own stuff. So I think he'll have a good year. I think he'll have a better year than he did last year for sure.
For me, the thing that Colorado is what I'm really going to be paying attention to more is how they react to Landeskog just being out. Like, he's still going to be out, right?
Yeah, he's not going to play at all this year.
Yeah,
just like last year.
It's you could tell last year they're like, I don't know if it's the heart or what, but you can tell the production on the ice is not the same as it was when they won the cup. It's just slightly off, just ever so slightly. Like, they have all the talent, they have a lot of good just fourth line players still. It's just that there's something missing there, and I think Landeskog is what's missing. And I think this year they're gonna have to answer it themselves. So I don't think Landeskog's coming back.
Yeah, his thing was just like Ben Bishop, just like Carey Price. It's the knee. He had a major knee injury, and I think it's the knee. Now I'm second guessing myself, but I'm pretty sure it's the knee. But yeah, either way, I'm not so. At first, I was pretty sold on it because, like, when I heard that they got him from Nashville for like very minimal and got him for like 50% retained, so he's there for $4 million on as a cap hit. That's pretty good for Ryan Johansson. That's not bad. But I was excited for them, but then when I kind of looked at some of the comments from other people, they didn't seem as stoked about it as as I did. I thought it was a great move by Colorado, but a lot of people were not impressed with the move at all. So we'll
I
see
mean,
how he does. But
who else are you going to get to fit there, though? I mean, that's part of the problem that was part of the problem the whole offseason with every team is like you don't have a lot of space left. And you got to find someone who is able to play in that position for less money. And with Colorado, you can cover that up because you have McKinnon and you have Makar. I mean, you can cover that up just with the talent of those two guys. You just have to have someone who's solid enough to not drag them back.
All right, moving on to let's do one more team, and then we'll get into more in depth with the other teams in the NHL in the Central Division, and we'll just kind of talk about the players that have come in, have left, and we'll see what they're at. With the Minnesota Wild, the one question they've got is how much impact can Marco Rossi and Brock Faber make? This paragraph is a little bit more lengthier. Long story short, they have no cap space, because they're even worse than the Stars are because they bought out Ryan Suter and Zach Parise, was it 2 years ago now? And now they're having to rely on really low bargain contracts of these guys coming in. And two of them are the rookies. Marco Rossi was apparently this big hot shot rookie that was drafted a little later than he probably should have been. I think they got him at like 7th in that year's draft. And Brock Faber, we saw him a little bit in the playoffs, and he had that one ridiculous defensive play that we were like, how did that not go in the net? And it was Brock Faber who did it. So how much impact are they going to be able to do? I mean, is this team still a playoff team? What do y'all think?
Yeah, not enough. They're going to be number 3 because the Central Division is not very good, but I think they would be a wild card team in pretty much every other division.
I think they'd be out in a lot of other divisions, honestly. I also think that Winnipeg might have a decent season just because they still have the 2 players who everyone was talking about was going to get traded, and it looks like they're not going to get traded, which is really funny. I guarantee you that team pops off again, and they're not going to trade them, and they're going to get nothing. They're both going to walk, like I said, like 4 months ago. But yeah, the Wild, I think Brock Faber is going to look really good. I mean, his defense especially just looked absolutely amazing in that playoff series. It's more of how much can they score, I feel like, this year, because like their defense was decent against us too, and Kaprizov, I guess, kind of had a down year last year. He'll probably have a bounce back. He was hurt for a little bit too. It's tough when you got no space to bring anyone else onto that team.
I mean, he really is the offense, right?
He's everything.
Him and Zuccarello, that's about it.
The team lives and dies on those 2 people.
Yeah.
And he didn't score any in the playoffs, so they died.
They definitely died. Yeah, and I mean, to come to his defense, he was hurt. So I mean, it's you can't expect him to be 100%.
Guys hurt.
Chris doesn't care. We still beat him in the playoffs. Are they still like the worst fan base in the league?
Yes.
I can't stand Minnesota Wild fans. I cannot stand Minnesota Wild fans.
They think they live in Canada.
Well, might as well, considering the weather that they get. So, okay. All right. Looking at this NHL Central Division, kind of talking about the teams. Got to catch up on them, and we got to know our enemies as we go into this season. So, we've talked at extent about the Dallas Stars and their off season. So, let's get into the Avalanche. The Avalanche have had a lot of new faces come in and a lot of faces leave as well. So, first things first, we talked about Johansson already. He's in. They got Ross Colton from the Tampa Bay Lightning. That's pretty good. Miles Wood, they signed to kind of a weird contract. It was like 7 years at $3 million per season. Really weird. They got Jonathan Drouin, who played with McKinnon in juniors a long time ago. And then, of course, I hate it, Frederick Olofsson from the Dallas Stars also got traded there, signed a contract with them as well. They lost Comfer, Rodriguez, Newhook, Malgin, Nieto, Lars Eller, and a couple of other players as well. So a lot of changeover with this team this year. do they end up anywhere lower than second, in your opinion?
It would have to be a disaster.
Yeah, there'd have to be a lot of injuries. It'd have to be really bad because it's just they have those talented forwards with just such a strong blue line as well. It's just a really good complete team. There's a reason they won the cup. They were cut off kind of at the third line. They paid for their cup with their third line pretty much. They all walked or got hurt. But yeah, they still have two solid lines. If Ryan Johansson is a good fit there, if they have two scoring lines, that's enough for them to be very dangerous.
Yeah.
So one of the areas of concern is legit the fact is the forwards. Their defense is incredible.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, top to bottom, top six, they have one of the best decors in the league. And Georgiev showed up. You know, there's some question about him being a starter in the league. He showed he was pretty good. He's way above average. Pretty good there. But it's like the biggest area of concern for this team, for the Colorado Avalanche, is, you know, are some of these forwards going to hit? Not just Ryan Johansson, but like, what about Cogliano? Cogliano is there from the Stars as well. And is he going to have to play elevated in the lineup in a third line spot is kind of what they're talking about in the article. So
their bottom six is just rough. You look at those guys and you're like, who scores?
It's 2 fourth lines, man.
Nobody scores on the bottom six is what I think it is.
The nice thing is that the bottom six, they're defensive still. I mean, you don't look at any of them and you're like, that's a liability. It just feels like they have 2 fourth lines.
Yeah, but if you got to score goals in this game, unfortunately. So Nathan MacKinnon can score a lot, but boy, you're going to need a little help every now and then.
But again, like I said, their decor is fantastic. You got Makar, you got Byram, you've got Devontae.
And that's where some other scoring can come from too. I mean, Taves and Makar alone can be your third line if you need them to be.
There were actually points in the last couple of years that they have ran a power play with 2 forwards and 3 defensemen.
Yeah.
Would you believe that?
Why not?
I mean, why not, man? It's ridiculous, the decor they've got. And it's not like they're all like offensive guys. They're also defensive guys too. They're good two-way guys. So we'll see how the Colorado Avalanche do. I really believe it's a race to the top between those two teams. I don't see any of the other teams that we're fixing to talk about overtaking Dallas or Colorado in the standings. Speaking of teams that probably will not catch the Stars, let's talk about the Wild for a second. It was mentioned in the comments a second ago. I believe it was Ardell. Really, the only player they added, Pat Maroon.
But that means you're in the cup.
I guess that's true. They'll at least make the finals, right?
No, they can't make it past the second round. It's a curse.
It is a curse, I guess. Yep. Well, no, the first round, not the second round.
No, they've made it to the second round.
Yeah, back in like 2003.
Yeah.
But
once.
Anyways, once, I guess. Yeah. So they lost Matt Dumba, who had a really rough season last year. Ryan Reeves goes to Toronto. Nyquist is, I believe, I forget where he signed, but he's not there anymore.
The one thing that was good about their team is that they were awful to play against because of those players. I mean, you step on the ice and you get hit in the head like 5 times in a game before you finally sit down and realize where you are. But now they're big enforcers, I guess you could call them, even though that's not really a thing anymore. They're gone.
They still have a lot of those players, though. Let's be honest. They still got Marcus.
Lost 2 of them. There's only so many forwards on a team.
And they gained another one, then Pat Maroon, I guess. So, and they've still got Johansson, who was a butt face to play against. I hated him, but I respect him because he's a hard player to play against. But the other thing is they also lost John Klingberg. Oh my goodness, they lost.
Oh no.
Oh no, they're done.
They probably got better.
Defensively, probably you're right.
No, I like Klingberg.
I like Klingberg. His defensive metrics were awful last year. I think he's gonna have a better season.
I think the bigger problem with the Wild is that they're gonna have to figure out how to change their play style so that it actually like makes sense in the NHL that we exist in now. Their whole mentality in the last playoff round was to try and just literally pound the Stars into the ice. And
That's
they
what
lost,
they did.
And they lost in 6. And they did it perfectly. They played their game plan absolutely perfectly, and they lost in 6. So it's not going to work.
Score more.
Yeah, and
that's that. And their problem is different, but
where,
similar to the Colorado Avalanche. It's not their bottom 6 that sucks. It's their middle 6. They don't have a second line. They have 2 third lines. They're two pretty good third lines, but you don't have a second line.
Well, the other thing is they don't really have a center to play with Kaprizov and with Zuccarello. They had Ryan Hartman, who came out of nowhere 2 seasons ago and scored 30 goals, but he was nowhere near the player he was this past year. He was still okay, but they don't really have like a first-line center in a league where you have to have center depth. Yeah. You have to have it.
Luckily, they could probably get away with it in the Central. I mean, any other division, though, they're absolutely destroyed.
All right, moving on to the St. Louis Blues. They've added Kevin Hayes from the Flyers, Oscar Sundqvist, McEachern, Hofer coming in as well. And they lost Logan Brown, Grice, Josh Levo, and former Dallas Star Tyler Pitlick. But this team, roughly the same as last year. Not a ton of huge big names coming in. Kevin Hayes is the biggest one. He's probably coming in to play the second center line role. But where do you see this team? Because I feel like for the Central Division, I really don't think that 4 teams are going to make the playoffs. I think it's going to be 3 teams, and that's it. And I think that the race for that third spot is between 3 teams: Winnipeg, Nashville, and the Blues. And I think the Blues have a chance, but I think they are less likely to make it compared to the other 2. What do you think?
Yeah, I don't like them. They got a similar problem to Minnesota. They don't have a top line center. They have Robert Thomas, who has 2 first names. So
he's pretty good. He just had a bad season last year.
Yeah. Okay. Yeah, and then, like you said, they didn't really make many big improvements. They were pretty bad last year. Their identity of being really solid defensively and taking advantage of their chances is kind of gone. It's just been a slow decline since they won the cup, and I think it's going to keep going until something big happens.
Like Bennington not getting re-signed.
Yes.
But I really think that's, for me, where all of this stands with the Blues. I mean, Bennington had that one good season, and it wasn't even like, I don't remember how good it actually was. I haven't looked at the metrics, but he just popped off in the playoffs, and he tried to do it again. He tried to do it again in like last playoffs, right? Where he was playing good, and then he got hit, and then all the Blues fans were sad because he got hit. They're like, "That's why we lost." No, it's because Bennington's not that great of a goaltender. I think that's it. I don't think he can hype himself up for regular season games. And I think they're just going to miss the playoffs again because of that.
Well, if you remember, he came in the year they won the Stanley Cup in January. He came in January, became the starting goaltender, and then won the Stanley Cup.
Yeah.
So he sort of kind of pulled an Adin Hill.
I really feel like that's where Vegas is going to end up too. They're going to have Adin Hill, who won them a Stanley Cup, and I don't think he's going to be great, but we'll see.
Well, he got paid this offseason.
He did get paid. That's
2
why
years,
I saw that and I was like, dude.
Ooh.
That's what happens when you win a cup.
True.
Yep. That is very true.
Should have signed for longer.
All right, moving on to Nashville. Nashville, they added Luke Shin, Ryan O'Reilly, Gustav Nyquist, and again, former Dallas Star, Dennis Gurianov. So they have also lost a lot of center depth, and they got rid of their top 2 centers, I guess you could say. And Matt Duchene, who obviously came to the Stars, he's going to probably be on the second or third line for us. And Ryan Johansson, who we already talked about, who went to the Colorado Avalanche. So where do you see this team? The reason why I see this team really taking over the third spot, and I fully believe they can, is because of UC Saros. I mean, that's literally it. Their defense is really solid. Their goaltending, Saros is one of the best goalies in the world, and they've kind of added some pieces to get some more goals, I guess. But I mean, what do you think? Do you think they could be the third team in the Central that makes the playoffs?
Yeah, I think they could be. I think it would come down to some young players are just kind of they have a chance now and they're playing good with it. I think that's what it's going to come down to because I mean, right now, even so Daily Faceoff is projecting Denis Gurianov on their second line. Not a great thing whenever the Stars had them not on the roster.
Right.
So they got a lot of young players who are looking to prove themselves. If they get a couple of them to play good, they have a good defense. Who knows? I mean, they could jump up there. This is one of those wild cards, I think, more than the other ones. The other ones we kind of know the devil. This one we don't know this devil. We'll have to see what he does.
I think this team in general was really baited by the year that they made the playoffs, just barely beating out the Stars after the Stars had like a bajillion overtime losses, which they did again this year. But they had like they had career years 2 years ago. Like the entire team had a career year, and they barely made the playoffs.
Yep.
Yeah, they're definitely trying to hang on because of their good goaltending and blue line, which they do have great goaltending, great defensemen.
Amazing.
I mean, Fabro would definitely be on our second pair. I mean, immediately. So, and he's on their third. But
like we were talking about with Minnesota, who's scoring? You got to score.
Exactly.
That's what this league is now. Score.
Nope. And on this team, not even the first line scoring. Honestly, if you look at them, the first line's not scoring either.
That's what's crazy with the Stars too, though. I mean, we went from being a strong team down the middle, and then we picked up another center.
Yeah, it's basically like we traded out Luke Glendening for Matt Duchene. That's ridiculous.
Well, and if you want to go a little bit of tangent here, that's part of the reason why the Stars have been the best faceoff team, or one of the best faceoff teams in the past 3 years, is because
of
we literally just have all of our forwards are centers, and they can just play their strong side every single draw. They never play on their weak side, so
that is true.
They don't lose.
It works really well.
It's like almost cheating.
All right, we got to move on, but the area for concern for the Nashville Predators is obviously their forward depth. Ryan O'Reilly, he's a really good two-way guy. He can score goals, but he's older now, and he's jumping into a situation where it's like, well, maybe 20. I mean, he's not going to get 30, I don't think.
He might get 30 because of power play goals.
I guess that's true, maybe. But all right, moving on. James's favorite team, the Winnipeg Jets. They've added Velarde, Iafallo, and Kupari in the Pierre-Luc Dubois trade. And then they also re-signed Laurent Brossoit, who returns to the Jets from the Vegas Golden Knights. And they lose Blake Wheeler, Big Save David Rittich, Sam Gagner, and some others. So, like you said, Chris, they did not trade their two biggest players, or maybe it was James. I forgot who said it.
It was me.
Scheifele.
I'll take it.
Yeah, Chris takes the credit. Scheifele and Hellebuck are still on the team, and they've come out and said that they are going to continue staying on the team. They're not being traded, at least at the beginning of the season.
Where are they supposed to go?
I don't know, right? That nobody's got cap space. So, do you see them as the third team, guys?
Yes.
No.
Yes. I totally see it because it would be amazing. They lose everything and they are going to have to go into a rebuild. That's what's going to happen.
Okay.
Their coach is Bones, so he's going to play lockdown defense. It's probably the best chance of this team winning, honestly.
Exactly. They're going to play lockdown defense, Bones style. They're going to make it barely into the playoffs, and they're going to lose in the first round.
We shouldn't have lost in the first round.
You're convincing me.
We shouldn't have lost in the first round.
Our team shouldn't have been in the playoffs, Ryan.
Okay, that might have slightly been true. But the performance we got from Ottinger, we should have never lost.
That's not Bonus's fault, though.
That is not Bonus's fault, but still. Okay, and then moving on to the Coyotes, they've added Dumba, Dursey, Logan Cooley, who is one of the top prospects in the world right now. Not the top, but one of the top prospects. They added Alexander Kerfoot from the Maple Leafs, Zucker from the Pittsburgh Penguins. They lost Andrew Ladd, who retired recently, Brett Ritchie, Patrick Nemeth, Christian Fisher, and Zach Cassian. So guys that don't really matter much. The only one, none of them are really of note that left. So this team is better. I would argue
not
that
be last.
they will not be last, and I still don't think that they make the playoffs. But could you see them making 5th place? I could
Yes.
see them getting 5th
Place.
place.
They could get 5th.
I
Yes, they
guess they're
could.
probably gonna get 6th, but there's
They could get
chance.
5th. It's possible.
Okay.
I'll say it.
I won't.
James is like, no, I'm not saying it.
And now our favorites.
Yep. Our favorites, the Chicago Blackhawks. Chicago Blackhawks, they make the playoffs, right? With
Oh,
Connor
they're-
Bedard,
they're
they have
gonna-
to.
They're gonna be an Anaheim Ducks. It's gonna be like, man, these couple of guys, you gotta watch these guys, but they still lost by 6 somehow. You see those stat lines from like the Angels? It's like Shohei Ohtani pitched an 8-inning shutout and hit 4 grand slams and lost 16-12. You know,
Right. Yeah, I
that
know
kind of stuff.
exactly.
That's what's gonna happen.
It's depressing.
So Bedard will be fun to watch. He might be decent.
He might not.
What?
He might not.
No.
He could
there's,
suck. Who knows?
there's no way.
Shane Wright sucks. He's
There's
bad.
there's
Bernier
no way
sucks.
that a player like this gets this much hype and he sucks right off the bat. There's
Well,
I
he
hope
might
so.
suck in his first season. That would be
he
fun.
might suck in his first season, but like
He is playing a weak
okay.
division though,
What's-
so
Yes, but what's his point totals at the end of the season? What do you think he's going to be at?
Well, if he's playing first line minutes on a terrible hockey team, I think he'll get to 50 at least.
I was thinking 60, 70. We'll see. I think
60, 70 would be a great first year.
yeah. I think
was kinda-
part of the
I was kinda
part of the
around 60.
problem- I think part of the problem is that even though the Central is really weak in the forward department, the defense and goaltenders in this division is tough. I mean, it's going to be harder for him to score than maybe any other division.
Well, he can just score all the garbage goals, you know?
True.
Just score when it's 5-1, and there you go. Pad the stats. Oh, is Ryan still with us? Oh, guess not. Okay, that was the last team, wasn't it, James?
Yes.
Yes, it was. All right, so what's next on the list? Let me pull it up here. Just 1 second.
Our host just died. That's all.
Ryan is still here.
He's
but
okay.
He's,
Are you back, Ryan?
he's not. He's
Kind
really-
of.
Oh,
Well,
I heard him.
So let's move it right along. Traverse City roster. I don't have that in front of me either. All you need to know,
Okay, y'all.
the big guys are there. You got Stanky's gonna be there. You got Bishel's gonna be there, and you got Borky's gonna be there. And those are the guys that are scratching and clawing, fisting and biting to try and get on to the big boy team.
Yeah, I'm kind of excited to see Antonio Stranges. I saw that he was on the roster for the thing. I'm very interested to see how he matches up in that. I kind of just like his skating style. I think it's really majestic, and we'll see where it goes.
I still think he's kind of a long shot, honestly. I mean, I think he's like
He might be,
very-
but I enjoy watching him.
he has some high potential, but I think it's going to be tough for him to reach it,
Especially on this team.
especially on this team. Yeah, not going to get many chances on the big boys. You agree, Ryan? Okay. Ryan's gone, I think. I don't know what that hand motion means, but I'm going to keep going. James, you got anything else for the Traverse City tournament? I'm looking forward to watching it. Do you know if there's any way to watch it? I know last year we could watch it on
I
like
have no
redwings.com.
That is probably going to be the same type of thing.
Probably going to be the same. We'll research it. We'll put it on our X page. We'll figure that out.
Someone will post it somewhere.
Training camp in Austin. It's actually like all over the state and into Oklahoma and stuff. So lots of preseason games going on, lots of training going on. We already talked about this a little bit at the beginning of the show. The burning question for the Stars is what this training camp is really all about. We're trying to see if Stankoven can get in, and that's the real one. The other thing is maybe Bishop can sneak his way onto the defensive core, which is our weakest spot, and he is definitely a let's say, a rising star amongst the stars.
Oh my goodness, I hate you.
Yeah, that was a good one there.
No, that was not a good one. Your Alexa heard you. They're
My Alexa
always
just
listening.
turned on. That was
They're
creepy.
always listening. Anyway,
I didn't like that. This is getting weird, guys.
Vishal
All
is a
right.
monster just with his size. I mean, the dude's
Vishal-
massive.
He is massive. He hasn't grown into his size yet. His weight for his size is very low. And we know that defensemen definitely take longer to develop than the forwards do in general. Even Miro Heiskanen was in the minors for, I think, 2 or 3 years. And as soon as he got to the bigs, he was a star right off the bat. So it's pretty crazy. It's definitely a long shot for him to get in. It's honestly even a long shot at this point for Stankoven to get onto the roster, though I'd love to see it. I think if he has any scoring potential at all, you got to play him just because of the position the Stars are in.
I think he might be able to edge out Dodonov, but he's going to have an absolutely.
Dodonov?
I mean, you might push Dodonov down to the 4th. He's got to have an absolutely amazing training camp, though, to be able to make it onto the roster.
I don't think that can happen.
Regardless of who he pushes out. I mean, he's got to be absolutely amazing to be able to get onto the Stars roster for opening night.
Just because of how much chemistry there was between the Ben Johnston-Dodonov line, I don't think it's going to happen to start the season at all. Even if he plays good enough to do it, I don't think it'll happen. So now that Ryan's back, Ryan, any thoughts on the Traverse City / training camp going on? Any ideas?
Just that I'm excited to see Liam Bichsel and I'm excited to see Stankoven and Maverick Bourque and see if they're actually like the best players on the ice or if they're going to be, just kind of lost in the crowd of all the prospects and stuff like that.
I mean, you're not excited for Christian Kyrou and Antonio Stranges?
I mean, I am excited about those guys too. The bigger name prospects I am excited to see, but those guys don't really have a chance of making the roster this season. Those 3 guys
Ryan's no fun.
could have a chance of making the roster this season.
They technically do. It'll be tough though. All right.
I hate my internet, by the way. It sucks.
Yeah, that's tough. All right, now on to the greatest Who Cares segment that has ever been devised in the history of Who Cares segments.
That one was definitely the plastic bottle one.
Oh, no, yep, you're right. Number 2. All right, so
oh gosh,
we are going with.
This was not my idea, by the way.
Yes, it was.
Yes, it was. Ryan.
No, it wasn't.
You don't have to be coy. This was definitely your idea, and we.
It's a great idea.
100%. It's a great idea.
Mm-hmm.
So we were thinking, or I was thinking. Well, no, Ryan was thinking.
No, you just ruined it.
No, Ryan was thinking.
Ryan was thinking, I wonder what I would eat if the apocalypse started today. So we're going to figure out what we would eat. We're going top 3 canned foods for this Who Cares segment. Who cares? James, number 3rd.
I'm going with Chef Boyardee ravioli. The beef.
Ravioli.
Ooh, I didn't think about that
So
one.
good.
Me in the
So good.
The big
Much
ones
better.
or the
Much
little
better.
ones?
I like the little ones, honestly, myself. I think the big ones, I got
Like
a small
the flatter
mouth.
ones. The
I'm
flatter
a big
ones?
I'm a big boy. I want my mouth filled.
No, I want the small ones.
I want a full mouth. Right. Number 3rd.
I hate you, Chris.
Yeah. I don't like me either.
Ryan, please. Save me.
This is what I came back for. Was that comment, right?
Yep, that was it.
100%. Okay. All right. First things first. I'm gonna say this. SpaghettiOs are the
That's it.
nastiest things in the world.
Oh yeah,
I
they're not
cannot
good.
stand
No, I don't like 'em.
SpaghettiOs. All
There's
right.
just so many better options.
There's so many better options. Okay. Mine are kind of lame because I couldn't really think of any. My number 3 is just corn. Corn in the can.
Corn.
I like corn. So that's what I'm going with.
Big lump
and-
of nuts.
And not the creamed corn. Like one of my best friends, Garrett, he loves creamed corn. I can't stand creamed corn. It's got to be sweet corn, like sweet kernel corn. It's really good. So that's it. That's all I got.
Okay, Chris.
All right then. Yeah. So
Don't judge
number
me.
judgment has already been applied. Number 3, we're going with soup. I am taking the entire category of soup with this one.
With
It's
your
not
number
specific enough,
3,
Ryan or Chris. That's a Ryan move. Sorry, Ryan. I apologize for calling you out on Chris's call.
but you're still
You know
you're
what?
still calling me
Ryan.
out and calling me stupid with
You're
the
stupid
comment you
for
made.
corn, but you're
Hold
not
on.
stupid for calling all of soup.
I like soup. Okay, soup is good.
Tomato
It's almost
soup,
soup.
chicken noodle soup. There's
It's
so many
tortilla.
soups.
It's almost
Tortilla-
soup season.
I don't think
boys.
tortilla soup comes in a can, but
I've
Tortilla,
seen some.
it
It's
does come
not
in a
good.
can.
Does?
I've seen it. Yes, it
it's
does.
bad.
that
It's
sounds
bad.
bad.
It is, but you know,
So how can you say all soup and say that tortilla
some
soup is
soup
bad?
that's
in a
bad.
can?
I'll be more specific.
Please.
We're gonna go
Yes.
with the Campbell's Chunky, the burger, like the sirloin burger soup.
Okay,
Okay.
that's better. That's more specific.
Hearty,
That's a fair
a
answer.
whole meal. You know, that's a whole meal. You get a can, dump it in a pot, heat it up, add a little bit of water if necessitated. Boom.
Do you put salt and pepper in soup? I know that's
No,
stupid. I
don't
just
season
want
your
to-
soup, Ryan. That's disgusting. Why would you ever season your soup? James, number 2.
My number 2 is Campbell's chicken noodle soup. I like chicken noodle soup. It's really basic. I just like it.
James is white. Ryan, number 2.
Oh man. My number 2 is the original Bush's baked beans. The original Bush's baked beans. I love their baked beans. I also like the commercials from a long time ago. That dog.
Okay, the
that was
dog
amazing.
is A tier.
The dog was amazing, but it's just amazing. I love their baked beans.
baked
that's
beans
it.
overall though mid.
But no, it has to be Bush's baked beans. It can't be like there. You know, there are some things that you can go like off-brand on or whatever. But for me,
Yeah.
it can't be like the Great Value
Don't-
baked beans. It has
Don't
to
want to
be
get the
Bush's baked
off-brand sugar beans. Oh no, that would be terrible. All right, Chris is number 2. I do like beans, not those beans, but I like these beans. Refried beans. Fry the beans, put some lard in them, stir them all up, fry them again. Refried beans, yum. Put that stuff on a tortilla. Put some cheese on it. Boom, burrito, dunzo. That's
You know,
dinner right
Chris,
there.
You
from a
were
can.
excited for this whole segment, and I think this might be your worst one yet.
Beans.
beans.
James,
Wow.
Anyway, I chose baked beans for my number 1, but there's a reason
Baked
I chose
Baked
baked
Okay.
beans for my
All
number
right,
1.
now, which one? Which one?
No. Let me explain. Okay,
No, you
there-
don't get to explain.
Oh,
there's
sh-
a specific reason why I chose baked beans. Okay, have y'all seen the baked bean meme thing where they put just baked beans
Oh,
and like
yeah.
clocks, and
Yeah,
that's
yeah,
why
Oh,
you gotta
okay.
have some entertainment, right?
So not to eat them.
No,
Just to put them in like clocks and staplers.
clocks and staplers. It's great. If y'all have never
Okay.
seen any of these pictures, go look at them. They're amazing. There's
Okay.
one where they put them in like a tub and they freeze it, and then they break the tub off and make it look like a cake. It's great.
I'll accept that. I'll accept the meme. But yeah, beans. Ryan, number 1.
My number 1, I'm going back to my childhood. This is my number 1.
Ryan's
It's-
so serious.
Yes. Oh shit. Yeah, small little violin. I know, Chris. Whatever.
Oh, I forgot this is
Okay.
a podcast.
He's too
This-
emotional.
I'm going with the fruit cocktail. I don't know why. It was just stuck in my head. As soon as you said, all right, let's do our top 3 canned foods. And I was just like, the first thing that popped in my head was the fruit cocktail. It looks like James is going to get said fruit cocktail. I guess it's does he's got some. Not the one I was expecting, but yes.
It's very cherry. There's extra cherries in it.
Yes, and those are also very good. I like the very cherries. But even like I know I just made fun of Great Value a second ago, but like the Great Value fruit cocktail cans are amazing. And I don't know why it stuck out in my head, but like throughout my childhood, we ate so much of fruit cocktail from cans. So that's my number 1.
Eat fresh fruit just one time, and then it's disgusting. Like, if you
Agreed.
know what actual fruit tastes like, that is the nastiest thing. That's disgusting. Okay. My number one, in great juxtaposition to my number third choice. Try to mark that off my word of day calendar right there. I'm gonna be very specific with this one. We are going with the HEB brand spicy version of their canned Charo beans.
I've never
I
had
can't
that.
say I've tried those. Yeah.
Chris, can you buy them for them and send me?
I'll
Them?
mail them to you, James.
Please.
They
That
are.
sounds amazing.
They are fantastic. Now, they're not as good, obviously, as some fresh made Charo beans, but they're not half bad. And from a can to get not half bad Charo beans, I would put them against probably, let's say, probably better than 60% of the Tex-Mex restaurants Charo beans. These canned beans.
Really?
Really.
Okay.
Not lying, especially the spicy version, because some of these Tex-Mex places are like, oh, these gringos, they can't handle the spice. They don't put nothing in it. So yeah, that's terrible. But if you get these spicy Charo beans from HEB, fantastic. They also got some other really good beans that I haven't even tried yet, just because I keep eating the Charo beans. So beans. All right, that's it. That's the show.
Hey, we all had beans in our top 3.
That's because beans.
Beans.
No,
Sorry,
you
I
said-
tried to
you
time
said-
it.
You said it wrong. Beans.
Deeper, Ryan.
Beans.
You said-
Put your puberty pants on. There you go.
Puberty pants.
Beans.
We need to rename the episode Puberty Pants. All right. Thanks, everybody, for joining the Starcastic Remarks. We Starcasted the remarks. Check out the Starcastic Remarks website.
Wait,
Check out
hold on,
the-
hold
oh,
on,
oh,
hold on.
Hey, I'm going.
Okay, so we didn't talk about it earlier, and it was mentioned in the comments earlier. Okay, the tournament for the Traverse City starts tomorrow. Do you want to do a live stream tomorrow of the game?
Can't do that tomorrow.
Not tomorrow.
I cannot.
You cannot, James.
I gotta work. Dang.
I can probably do some.
Where is it at, Ryan? We were trying to figure that out, but it was just me and James, and we were lost.
It's in Michigan.
But
Okay, where can you watch
Thank
it,
you.
Ryan?
Thank you, Ryan. I appreciate that very much. You know what? You stop me on my outro. You make a joke like that.
I'm good.
I am done. I'm done. I'm out of here.
It's gonna be on. From what I remember, there is a couple of YouTube channels that are gonna be showing it. There's links on Vimeo. I'm probably saying that wrong. Vimeo,
Vimeo?
whatever it is.
Vimeo?
And yeah, thank you. And it's going to be shown there. There's links on the Traverse City tournament website if you want to watch the game. I don't know
if you
what
research
time.
it, you'll find it.
Yes, it wasn't hard. It took me 2 seconds or earlier. I just don't remember the exact time. Anyways, Chris is already gone, but we're going to sign off. Thank you guys for listening. For those of you that are live, we had about 12 people listening to us live. Thank you for listening to us. For those of you that are listening afterwards, we also appreciate you. Consider leaving us a 5-star review anywhere you listen to your podcast. That's the best way to help us grow. The season is upcoming. We have our training camp preview next week, and we are really excited to get this season going. Thanks again to DraftKings Sportsbook. And along with just James, because Chris is already gone, my name is Ryan, and we will catch you guys on the flip side. Hope you guys have a good, fantastic morning, afternoon, evening, whenever you guys are listening. James, you have anything else to say?
No.
Wow. I was really hoping for some words of wisdom there, James. See
No,
you guys
puberty
later.
pants is my words of wisdom.
Bye. We're ending it.